I'm very, very worried because Ryan Clark is missing something that's very, very important. What's the measuring stick, Max and Molly and Ryan Clark? And I appreciate that Super Bowl trophy. Thank you very much, even though you retired a Redskin. But we'll deal with that later. Here's the bottom line. The Kansas City Chiefs are the standard. When I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm asking myself, what are the chances that this number 3 defense against the pass, this number 7 defense against the rush, the number 1 defense in points allowed in the entire NFL, what are they going to do with those brothers? That's my measuring stick. So when I look at it from that perspective and I see the Steelers bending a lot, but not necessarily breaking. I'm seeing your boy, Ben Roethlisberger, even though he's playing like an MVP candidate, in a game, in a time in the season where 1 mistake or 2 mistakes will definitely cost you. I'm seeing some of the things that he does, some interceptions that should have taken place, some ill-advised throws, etc., etc. It makes me a bit nervous. The Steelers are a big-time team. I'm very proud of them. I know they're going to go to the playoffs. I believe they'll win at least a game in the playoffs. But I'm looking at them, and the measuring stick is, what are their chances to knock off the Kansas City Chiefs? And if I think those chances are slim to none, and we're looking at them overrated and talking about them at 16-0,
how they overrated though?
It gives me cause to pause. That's where I'm at. Well, I didn't say they were overrated. They said, are you leaning more towards underrated or overrated? When you look at them being undefeated, you're talking about a team that could go 16-0. You're talking about, oh my God, Super Bowl champions. I don't view them that way. I just don't.
First of all, Ryan, let me explain. I am loath to defend Stephen A. Smith, but let me explain what's the psychology, what's going on. He's a Steelers fan. He's trying not to jinx him. Stephen A., I see what you're doing. Don't worry about that, man. I got you.
Listen, I agree with Max. I believe they're underrated because we aren't talking about this team. We are talking about this team in the way that you just did, Stephen A. No one is singing the 2007 New England Patriots praise. No one's saying that this team will have Mercury Morris crying in his champagne. Mercury Morris won't get to make a rap about the 72 Dolphins. Nobody's saying that. Because we're watching them play games and we're watching them make plays in situational football moments that allow them to win. They aren't blowing people out. It's not pretty. Patrick Mahomes isn't playing quarterback or Russell Wilson isn't playing quarterback. But all they've done is 10 times they've lined up people in front of them and 10 times they've beaten that team. Because what happens is sometimes you're going to have a bad day. Every now and then you have a letdown. But there's only been one team in the entire NFL that has never had such a big letdown that they caught an L. This is a very good football team. And Minkah Fitzpatrick, and I have been back and forth with him. At the beginning of the year, he wasn't making the plays on the football. And I was like, I don't know if the tips can continue. And dude just finds the ball. Dude just makes plays. TJ Watt is going to be a perennial defensive player of the year contender. Cam Hayward is a stalwart in the middle. And then offensively, and you watched the game last night, right? The Kansas City Chiefs won because the Las Vegas Raiders scored too fast. That's it. So when you see Aguilar and you see Ruggs and you see Josh Jacobs and you see Darren Waller get loose on the Kansas City Chiefs, you got to think Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson, James Washington, that these dudes can get loose as well, but they can actually play defense. So when you compare them to the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they compare favorably. And when you look at a team like the New Orleans Saints, I think you look at those two teams and you think about Drew Brees and you say, you know what? These are probably the 2 most well-rounded football teams in football. The reason we like the Kansas City Chiefs over everybody else, which we should, is because of their quarterback. That's not a problem. But this team is underrated because anytime they line them up in front of you the same way they did Floyd, since we talked about combat sports. Nobody wants to say he's the greatest of all time, and that's okay. They lined up 50, and 50 fell. So far, they've lined up 10, and 10 have fallen, and we have to give this team respect because they are a true Super Bowl contender.
Unlike Floyd, they can't choose their opponents.
Well,
they got to play who's there. The Stephen A. Yeah.
Whatever you do, man, crawl off the field. Don't sit there. No, seriously.
Stymies the momentum.
It does. You crawl off the field because if you sit there and lay down, and then the next thing you know, and nothing wrong with you, the Trainers go out on the field and get you, bring you to the sideline, and you in the next damn play because nothing was really wrong with you. You act like you needed an ambulance to take you off the field. And now all of a sudden, you've given them a free timeout and to think about what they want to do to you. And that's what happens with guys like Patrick Mahomes.
We want to know from you, who do the Chiefs really not want to see in the postseason? Key thinks it's the Raiders, as evidenced by the Week 5 win for the Raiders in Kansas City. Slight loss last night. Jay said they played them as tough as anybody. I mean, is it Pittsburgh, who's 10-0? Hit us up, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Who's the one team the Chiefs don't want to see in the NFL playoffs as they try to go back-to-back? You can also hit us up on Key J and Z on Twitter. Tonight, we got the Rams and the Bucs. I just want to take a quick look forward for Kansas City. Talking about the Bucs tonight. Everybody's going to be talking about Tom Brady. Next week, you know it's coming. Kansas City at Tampa Bay, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. We got to wait to see what Brady does tonight. But as the Chiefs try to zone in and win that fifth straight division, this is obviously an out-of-divisional game. Try to stay just one pace behind the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they'll know what the Steelers will have done by Thursday night because they're playing the Ravens on Thanksgiving. What a huge game in 6 days.
No, it is. And Tampa Bay can't look past the Rams tonight. Looking ahead to Kansas City. Get caught looking ahead to Kansas City and mess around and get smacked by the Rams, and then you'll really be in trouble. And I don't think they'll look ahead. Kansas City has an opportunity to see what their opponent is going to look like tonight when they take on the Rams. They can get a feel for what the Bucs are about and how the Rams can attack them and get at them. And I'm sure they'll be dialed in as they game plan, waiting to see what tonight looks like.
You know, I'm curious for tonight, Key. What version of Jared Goff are we going to see tonight?
Hopefully not the Jared Goff that went down to Florida the last time and they played Miami. Hopefully you don't see that Jared Goff, or you don't see first half Jared Goff against the Buffalo Bills. You see a guy who looks like a $100 million quarterback against a defense that a lot of people had as the top in the NFC and now kind of has come back to the pack. The Buccaneers defense was solid and sound early part of the year, but since then they've kind of tailored off a little bit. I know they had a good game against Carolina, but it's the Carolina Panthers a week ago. Now you get a real offense with a real offensive mind coming into town with Sean McVay, the head coach who calls the offensive plays. You got real receivers out there with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods and Reynolds. You got Jefferson out there. You got tight ends that are there. You got a quarterback, got a running game. It's a little bit different. It'll be a different task for the Bucs defense. But like you said, Jared Goff, what Jared Goff are we going to see? That's going to be key.
No question about it. Once again, hit us up, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Who's the one team Kansas City doesn't want to face in the playoffs? Or if it's easier for you, Key, J, and Z. Key is going with the Raiders. Is the Chiefs' defense good enough to win the Super Bowl? You had mentioned they can score aplenty. They tightened up under defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo last year when they had to. But yet again, I'm watching last night's game, and I know you said Derek Carr's playing great football, but they're just moving it up and down the field. Luckily, they got a guy that can move it down the field just one extra time to help you on offense.
Well, it's the opponent. I know you. I'm in your division. I get a chance to see you every single week because I'm watching. Even though I'm not playing against you, I'm probably watching some sort of tape that has you on it because we play the same opponents. So I'm watching you every single week. So I kind of know what your strengths and your weaknesses are. This isn't Green Bay playing the Indianapolis Colts where they've only seen them a handful of times. This is a team that I see twice a year. Plus, you play Denver, we play Denver. You play the Chargers, we play the Chargers. You know, and then the teams that you play outside the division, we play because we're in the same division. If you play somebody in the other conference, chances are we're playing that same team in the other conference. So every single week, even though I'm not studying game film on you, you show up because I'm studying game film on opponents that we both play.
Let's head to the – go ahead, Jay.
I think the Chiefs' defense is serviceable, Key, right?
Absolutely.
And my thing is that their offense is so potent that it almost gives so much pressure on the opposing team's offense to keep up with that pace. You know, Nick Saban this weekend said something I thought was interesting. He said, it used to be that good defense beats good offense. And he says, good defense doesn't beat good offense anymore. You know what I mean? Good defense doesn't beat. I think what he was meaning to say is, like, if you have a really good offense, it doesn't matter how good your defense is, your offense can outbeat your defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
I read it wrong. Sorry.
But
you know what I meant to say.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. But the problem is those defenses aren't around like that anymore. You know, my Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is not in the NFL right now. The 85 Bears are not around. The Baltimore Ravens defense with Ray Lewis and all those Suggs, and they're nowhere to be found in the National Football League right now. But if you took those defenses that I'm talking about and placed them in the NFL right now, they're going to get the best of them offenses. I was on a Buccaneer team, and our defense was stupid, obviously, playing against a Ram team that was the greatest show on turf. They didn't want no parts of Derrick Brooks now. Right. They was laying down.
Stupid good, by the way.
Stupid
for people
good.
that don't know.
No,
Warren
not
Sapp,
stupid smart.
Right.
Stupid good.
And we should mention to Jay's point, right, Saban's a defensive guy, but that's why they've gone to tempo. They've got to realize we have got to score.
Man, Booger
more than
McFarland and them dudes, they was going to eat. I know Patrick Mahomes is great and all that, but I'm putting my money on John Lynch and Warren Sapp and Simeon Rice and Booger McFarland and Rondé Barber and Brian Kelly. I'm putting my money on them. I promise you I am. Because I know what they coming to the party to do.
Indeed. Let's go to the party. Let's go to the Dr. Pepper call-in line. We're asking you this morning, one team the Chiefs don't want to face in the playoffs. Hit us up, 888-SAY-ESPN, Key J and Z on Twitter if that's easier for you. Clinton in Ohio, you're on ESPN Radio. Who does Mahomes not want to see?